Hello friends, in today's discussion we'll be seeing the last part of Unit 2, that is conditions and warranties, under the concept of caveat emptor. Yes, of course, caveat emptor, the word has been discussed in the previous sessions also, as the meaning of caveat emptor refers to let the buyer be aware, means the buyer should know what he is purchasing. We shall elaborately discuss on the topic of caveat emptor, and this is a target exam question for you all. Please do not miss this chapter. Let's continue. Caveat emptor. The first point, it is a doctrine. Doctrine refers to a belief or a set of beliefs. That is, let the buyer beware. That means it is a belief that the buyer should be aware of what he is buying. Second point, when the goods are displayed, the buyer has to make a proper selection or choice of goods. So if you go to the market, yes, the sellers, there are umpteen number of sellers displaying different varieties of goods, materials, etc. It is up to the buyer to make a selection of those goods or a choice of those goods. Until and unless the buyer makes a selection or choice of the goods, how can a seller be held responsible? So the first starting point is buyer has to make a selection or choice of the goods from amongst the goods which is displayed by the seller. Next, the buyer cannot hold the seller liable for a wrong selection. Means what? If by chance the buyer has wrongly selected a particular goods or material or a unit, then definitely the buyer cannot hold the seller responsible for his wrong selection. That is basically the essence of caveat emptor. Continuing further, as a seller is not bound to disclose the defect in the goods. Means what? A set of goods have been displayed. The buyer's moral responsibility or immediate responsibility is no doubt selection or choice of the goods. But having selected or made the choice of the goods, it is up to the buyer to examine the goods first. Generally, when we go to the market, we ask, when we buy the goods, is it of a good quality? Can it be bought? These are the basic questions that the buyer has to raise. This is what the belief or what the doctrine of caveat emptor prescribes. Coming back to the third point, I am elaborating it. The buyer cannot hold the seller liable for a wrong selection by the buyer, as the seller is not bound to disclose the defects in the goods. So seller is under no obligation to explain about the defect in the goods until and unless the buyer makes a selection and asks about the quality and fitness of the goods. We shall see, of course, there are certain exceptions to it when we come to exceptions to the rule of caveat emptor. As of now, we continue with the basic points. Fourth point, duty of the buyer to satisfy himself that the goods will serve the purpose of purchase. Means what? When the buyer is buying a good, he should himself first satisfy that the purpose of purchase, what he is going to make of a particular goods, it's going to be served. He cannot go blindly and purchase any item which may or may not satisfy his purpose. He has to be very clear as to what he is buying, why he is buying. If he is not clear, then how can you hold a seller responsible for his act of negligence? Remember, the Contract Act, we say the basic rule of law, ignorantia juris non excusa. That is, ignorance of law is not an excuse. Therefore, the primary responsibility comes on the buyer to satisfy himself that the purpose of the goods what he is purchasing from the seller is served. Later on, what this point means is, a buyer buys the goods and it doesn't serve his purpose, or he changes his purpose, or he has no idea about why he is buying the goods. For all his acts of negligence, you can't hold the seller responsible, is the main point to be observed here. Next, generally, implied condition or implied warranty, which we discussed in our previous session, does not apply when caveat emptor applies. That means whenever the concept of caveat emptor is applied, the concept of implied conditions and implied warranty do not apply. Which means if caveat emptor has applied where buyer beware concept has applied, the implied condition and the related topics of repudiation of contract and claim of damages does not arise, and the implied warranty and the related topic of only claim of damages does not arise. Am I clear with my point, my dear friends? I repeat again, whenever there is a caveat emptor concept applicable, then implied warranty or implied condition concept does not apply. That is why I say generally implied condition or warranty do not apply when caveat emptor concept applies. Clear about it? Next point. This is a checkmate now. What do you mean by a checkmate? All of the above points will be applicable only when the following conditions are satisfied. What are all of these conditions? Yes, we know that there is a doctrine of caveat emptor. Yes, the buyer has to make the selection or choice. The buyer cannot hold the seller responsible for the defects in the goods. The buyer has to satisfy the purpose for what he's purchasing the goods, and implied condition and implied warranty do not apply where caveat emptor applies. All these points will be applicable only if point A, B and C are satisfied. That's the kick in it. That's the crux of the discussion here. Let us see what it means. Point A, that is one of the first of the conditions, buyer has made known the purpose of purchase to the seller. So it goes smoothly now. First, buyer enters the market, seller is displaying the goods. Buyer has to explain to the seller the purpose of his purchase of any good or material. That is the first condition. The second condition is buyer has relied on the seller's skill and judgment. That means the buyer has conveyed to the seller that he has no idea whatsoever. His purpose of purchase is so and so, but he has no idea about the products or its descriptions or its quality, its fitness, its characteristics. Therefore, the buyer has conveyed to the seller that he is completely dependent on the seller's skill and judgment about the particular product, whether it serves the purpose of purchase of the buyer. If this has been explained, substantially most of the points would get attracted here. Let's see the third point. The seller's business is to supply the goods of that description, which adds value added point, which is a value added point, no doubt about it. Means when the seller has relied, when the buyer has relied upon the seller's skill and judgment, it should also match that the seller is also in such business. That means he deals with such goods where he is having an expert knowledge about such goods. Where the buyer, where the seller itself is not dealing in such goods, or where the seller is not aware about the description of such goods, then how can you hold the seller responsible is also a coincidental point. So what are the three conditions, my dear friends? First, buyer has is made known the purpose of his purchase to the seller. The buyer has conveyed what he wants to buy, the purpose for which he has to buy it to the seller. Second, the buyer also should convey to the seller that he relies on the skill and the judgment of the seller as he is unaware about the product. And third, the seller should be in the business of such goods which is described by the buyer. If these 3 points are satisfied, then we see all the above points will be applicable only when the following conditions are satisfied. If these 3 points are satisfied, then caveat emptor rule applies and the responsibility shifts on the buyer, the liability shifts on the buyer and not the seller. Seller becomes a safe person here. Am I clear about the flow of it? 4 points. If that has to apply, 3 conditions has to be applicable. If these 3 conditions are satisfied, then all these 4 conditions would get the limelight. Therein, I say that if these 3 conditions, in simple words, if it is satisfied, buyer becomes responsible and not the seller. That's the essence of caveat emptor. Let's see the exceptions to the rule of caveat emptor. What is the exception? By the word exception, it means the basic foundation what we discussed, that if all these three conditions are satisfied, buyer becomes responsible, that gets disturbed, which means even if all these, if these